This is the Ecommerce Braintrust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our Braintrust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Braintrust podcast. I'm Julie Spear, Head of Retail Marketplace Services at Acadia, alongside my co-host, Jordan Ripley, Director of Retail Operations. Today, we're joined by a longtime Amazon insider, Joanna Otto. Joanna has spent over a decade across brand side roles, Amazon-focused agencies, and internally at Amazon also. And she is an account manager here at Acadia and one of the most lovely, sunshiny people you'll ever come across. So we feel very lucky to have a reason to hop on the mic and talk with her today. We're not going to just enjoy the general positive energy that she exudes. We're going to dig into a really fun topic, brand-tailored promotions, what they are, where they came from, why they may or may not work for a given strategy and brand, and what they might tell us about the future for merchandising on Amazon. So with that, welcome, Joanna. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I'm so happy to be here and really excited to talk about brand-tailored promotions, genuinely.
Yeah, before we got started, Joanna was saying she's going to try and tamp down her enthusiasm so that it doesn't come off as like not genuine or too much nerding out. But Jordan and I told her, just let her nerd flag fly. Really bring it. Brand tailored promotions are exciting.
Especially with that intro, Joanna, I feel like you just have to turn it on. You know, you got to live up to your billing. That's the happiest person at Acadia. So don't hold back for us.
Okay, the sunshine radiation is beaming.
Okay, good. No subtlety here. Just let it all out. Well, before we dig into kind of the capabilities of BTPs, to throw that acronym, it's not an Amazon discussion without an acronym. So before we dig into the capabilities of brand tailored promotions, can you walk us through the timeline of when we first started seeing these develop on Amazon? It's been kind of a phased rollout in terms of new features, but can you get us up to speed on where we are and where we've come from with the development of BTPs?
Exactly. These launch so quietly. They always do have their announcement that you can find if you stumble upon, but they were really quiet and I didn't hear about them really utilized until months later, but they did launch in August 2023, and it's still just for Seller Central brand registered sellers, but we really didn't start seeing any changes to the program, massive changes, until this summer. And we're really excited. In June, you started to be able to exclude ASINs within brand tailored promotions. So it used to be all or nothing, whole catalog or not at all. And so now you can actually, up to 100 ASINs you can exclude from a promotion. So if there's a conflict or a risk of overlapping, you can still run and be able to keep all your other strategies in play. And then recently, they've really been on a run. Just in October, you can now create your brand tailored promotions by goal. And not much has changed for what this does, but it's great for the brand who's creating those promotions. The interface inside, it's more of a navigated experience where you can walk through, hey, am I here for retention or new customer acquisition? And so I think it's a really easy way. I haven't seen this in all accounts, so it must be still in beta, but I see it in about half of my accounts right now. But it's a really great user experience. And then even more new, even just as of yesterday, the complementary products remarketing, they created a new audience, and this is specifically to cross-sell opportunities at the product level. So before, again, it was just an audience based on a type of customers you're trying to reach. Now you can actually put in, you have to put in at least 3 ASINs, but it's now targeting customers who purchase products that are complementary to yours in the last month, but haven't purchased these specific products. So then you get to target them with a 10% off or more and re-engage them. So it's a big month for the BTP platform.
Yeah, the development on these is just dizzying to me. I feel like there's a rogue product manager at Amazon that is just like deciding what they're going to roll out daily on these. And especially during big deal days, they just, unveil an entirely new feature set. It's wild. But I'm just curious because that was a great timeline and walk through, Joanna, of like how these have developed over time. I see things around brand tailored promotions, brand tailored coupons. Can you just, as a bit of context to lead into today's conversation, can you describe the kind of key distinctions between those two? Because I think they're used somewhat interchangeably, but it'd be helpful to understand like where those actually break out when the rubber meets the road.
Yes, and I would agree. They are essentially interchangeable. They have similar goals and walkthroughs. Really, the big key differences is that the coupon is more of a merchandising perspective. It's shown within search and browse versus just the product detail page, which is the brand tailored promotion. And the coupon will show within search and browse. So I think you can capture that customer before they even click on your product detail page. You still have the same minimum audience size requirements of 1,000 customers. And I think the biggest one that I've taken advantage of is the discount value. So for brand tailored promotions, the discount starts at 10% off. With the brand tailored coupons, it starts at 5% off. So I always recommend, I found most success with the 10% off. So the 5% off certainly does open a few more opportunities, but yes, very, very similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so if I'm just understanding correctly, like the coupons both give you a smaller threshold to start at the 5% and potentially a better merchandising value because you can see them in search and browse versus just on the PDP. Is the only downside that there's like some additional fees associated with them?
Exactly. Great question. The brand tailored promotions have no fees, which is great.
Yeah,
and then the
okay.
brand tailored coupons, they have the standard coupon fee. So just that per redemption, no click. So it's pretty minimal.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's your take on like how brands should actually be putting these to use? Is there an evergreen approach? Is it seasonal specific, tentpole events? What's your take on kind of maybe the pros and cons of how brands can really leverage brand tailored promotions?
Absolutely. So entirely evergreen approach. I think there's key events that happen throughout the year where it's vital to take advantage. But I think what the really cool thing about these is there's so many, especially the bigger the brand you are and you have more audience members that you can target, you have a lot more opportunity to target segmented customers. And so I'll talk in a moment about the tentpole versus regular brand promotions, but focusing on the pros really for just the entire program, I think the biggest selling point is that they're non-crawlable. So when I'm speaking with brands who might have conflicts with pricing and it doesn't allow them to promote as they would on Amazon, it's just the perfect solution because you're able to target customers that are more likely to convert. And it's a one-time code just for the customer. They can't share it. It doesn't pop up on pricing history. So it's really that, I think, holy grail of I can still promote and I can still have a strategy in between these tentpole events without having the conflict that comes with a random 20% off or 30% off that does get noticed quickly. And then secondly, with the pros here, the data refreshes regularly. So again, there's so many different audiences that you can target, but some refresh daily, some refresh weekly, and some refresh monthly. So it's really important to be mindful of which ones and the timing of which you're using them. For example, for Prime Day, Fall Prime Day, July Prime Day, or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Amazon is driving so much traffic to your detail pages, and that's going to increase the targeted customer amount. So when you wait for that event to end and you're creating a brand tailored promotion, you're casting this much wider net where now even if someone was just looking, now you have them, you have their data and you can target them with a 10% off or 20% off if they've had some FOMO of missing out on your big tentpole event promotion, you can target them again and remind them, hey, we're still here. So I really love it for that purpose of piggybacking off those big events and leveraging that additional traffic. And the way that they have their reporting right now, it is by segment. So you can really see which ones are most successful for your brands. I see consistently my brands have their favorite segment that has the most success. And that might vary a little bit between brands, but consistently one might have brand cart abandoners be their top performer, or promising customers might be their top performer every time we run them. So you can track which one is driving the most revenue, which is really helpful to see what's working and which type of customer you're really targeting well. And then, as we mentioned, there's no fees. So as a pro, I think it's just a really low risk. You're not crawlable. There's no merchandising fee to try this out. You can cancel them but even as they're running, if you're finding any issues. So they're just really easy to navigate and control. So I really love them for that reason. And then as far as the cons, there's not too many. I would say, especially speaking with strategy, it is not a quick action. So we've all had instances where, we need help driving sales, or velocity really took a turn, or we ran out of stock and now we're back in finally, we need some quick action. It's not going to be your start today and see things turn around. You have to start it 2 days in the future. And I've certainly seen the best results when campaigns have lasted more than 1 week. I've tried with 3-day campaigns, 5-day campaigns for all types of audiences, and they just really didn't pick up. Once you start to have it run over that week mark, then I really start to see the sales come in and snowball. So I always recommend running them at the end of the month after your audiences have refreshed, whether it be daily, weekly, or monthly, and just having it for as long as you can, between a week and 2 weeks. And again, I see a lot of success, especially that 1 to 2 week mark is when they really start to see it roll in. And then one last thought here. Don't want to forget the negative, which I'm sure is coming. I'm sure that they're going to announce this, but there's no ASIN level reporting as of yet, which can be frustrating, especially when you're doing your entire catalog to say what's actually converting. Of course, we can track page views and conversion at a granular level, but we're not able to entirely attribute it to the brand tailored promotion. But I'm sure
because the actual promotion reporting, like in that module, is not segmented at the ASIN level. Is that what you're saying, Joanna?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I love the point of using them to extend the halo for tentpole events. I mean, we're in the midst of tentpole season. I don't think, can you even call it tentpole if it lasts?
the circus we
all-weather gazebo event.
Yeah. But the true value, I mean, there's so much focus on the strategy for the event itself that the lead out, extending the benefit of the investment in the event itself, can often get overlooked. And I know I've had conversations with a couple different brands and in the past, and really focusing on ways that you can extend the benefit of the tentpole event is key. And I think this is one tactic that is one that absolutely should be tapped into by brands in order to get the most out of the tentpole gazebo all-weather event season, whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with the July Prime Day, I saw 2 of my accounts. We saw a softer halo than we were expecting. We all know how important the halo effect is, and to continue your action with the lead in event and then lead out. And we saw a huge pickup once we started the brand tailored promotions. And so that was really exciting to be able to continue that momentum, and where we thought maybe we were stalling a little bit.
Yeah, the other thing that you highlighted here, Joanna, that I thought was interesting is the sort of non-crawlable element, because, Amazon was really the one that started the arms race of channel conflict on pricing and continually looking at other channels and, suppressing buy boxes as they saw fit. And so it's interesting that they sort of introduced this remedy. Like, I can think back to legacy ways to get around that. You would have, see price in cart, and that would get around the crawling, but then it was just like a terrible shopper experience of like, oh, I see this product, I have no idea what it costs until I sign in and add it to cart. And so to me, this is such a better customer experience to still get around that like channel conflict. Have brands bought into this, like the brands that you work with, and you're like, oh yeah, you can run promos, the ones that have like strict map pricing across channels? Like, is it a pretty easy conversation to have with them, or do you get pushback around it?
Yes, I think that's the biggest selling point really, is that it is non-crawlable. When we were initially throwing them out just to boost traffic, or I have one consumer good brands and it's really heavily subscription based. And so we wanted to pair and really extend the subscribe and save strategy and lean in hard there. And so we were able to test the subscribe and save coupon versus reorder coupon versus the brand tailored promotion retention segment. And so it's really great to do that kind of under the radar, where that it's a specific customer experience, and I really think that's the biggest selling point. And I think there's a little trust at first. Like, truly, it's not crawlable. And I think sometimes when the brand is looking, they see the promotion because we're always looking at these ASINs and we're looking at these product detail pages. But when you sign out Truly or go to a new device, you can see it's not just showing up everywhere. It's
the client keeps falling into that audience of frequently viewed product, never purchasing. Okay, very cool. So, I mean, it sounds like from everything that this is a good evergreen tactic, but that like the audience and promotion type will vary depending on the client's goals. So I'm curious, like if we think about two client types on either side of the spectrum, on one side you have maybe the upstart brand that's just like starting to try and get a toehold in their category. And then the other, you have like the large incumbent with massive audience sizes and that sort of thing. I'm just curious, like how do you, for two starkly different clients that might have different goals, right? Gain market share or sort of defend existing. How do you approach like the various, like are there particular audiences types that you feel like work well for everyone? Are there particular promotion types? I'm just curious, like if you could kind of give us the broad strokes of promotion plans that you've seen work well.
Yes, absolutely. So for the newer brands to Amazon really just growing their share and awareness, I really find that the traditional promotions that are highly merchandisable are the best. You're going to see the biggest return there because you're targeting every single customer and you're kind of kickstarting the algorithm to even pick up the customers that are viewing. So what I have found with newer accounts is we'll sign in and they're only eligible for maybe 2 of the segments because they just don't have enough of an audience size yet to capture that 1,000 minimum. Mm-hmm. And so what we have done for, especially for specific ASINs or categories, we've used traditional coupons or red line promos to bump or raise awareness and try and kick that flywheel. And then the next, 2 weeks or maybe even the next month, we'll see that audience size boost. And all of a sudden now they're eligible for more and more. So I think with the newer brands, it's great to kind of take that traditional route, unfortunately, because I was just speaking about how wonderful it is. It's under the radar. I think you do have to unfortunately get that 1,000 minimum first. So the established brands have all the options available. But once you do hit that, there's really 4 goals that it's broken down into. So I think there's, and again, depending where you sign in which account, I think there's almost like 12 to 16 segments are constantly changing those. But there's really like 4 overarching goals. There's the new customer acquisition. So of course, acquisition converting, and that's based on customers who have either searched your brand or like products or have spent a lot of money in your category or even on your brand. There's customer retention. So again, pairing maybe with subscribe and save and repeat. This is where all the customer loyalty options live by just re-engaging. And so that will say, for the last 12 months, who hasn't purchased something? And that's where those newer brands aren't eligible if they haven't had a product to have 12 months of data. I think the customer retention is probably the hardest one for new brands to unlock. And then there's the re-engagement. So if there is churn customers or maybe you faced out of stock issues or big catalog changes and you need to re-engage, there's targeted segmented audiences that will help you achieve that. And then lastly, the new one, which is really cross-selling. And so this one targets specific ASINs that you get to put in and say, hey, if a customer likes this product, they're really going to like this one. But for maybe whatever reason, it doesn't qualify as a variation. So it doesn't live on the same detail page, or maybe it's a new launch, for example. So that's a great way to use this to cross-sell without maybe having it on your A+ for whichever reason. Maybe it's already filled up with your top sellers, but you're trying to engage a new item. So based on those 4 overarching goals, I've had brands who have let me try every single one. And the ones that we, again, see the best with the bigger brands are certainly around customer retention. So repeat customers, top tier spend, and then the brand cart and abandoners is probably the biggest overall targeted segment. The customer's clearly showing interest and they just needed that little dangling carrot to just pull the trigger there, add to cart and purchase.
Mm-hmm. And like a follow-on question on these, since there are so many tactics, like I'm curious how you're going about measuring, given that you sort of can look at this in aggregate at the promotion level. You of course can look at your standard measurement of products and how they're performing as you normally would through business reports, et cetera. And then also like you have the data on these audience segments through brand analytics. So how, like, are you having to kind of stitch through those 3 different points to get an understanding of how effective any of these promotional strategies are? Or like, how are you approaching this as it's evolving in real time?
Yes, I'm really thankful. So we have a lot of tools that make this a lot easier, where we can easily track sales history and conversion and traffic kind of in one-stop shop. But if I were just in a Seller Central account, I would pull the traditional business report for that time period. I would do a before and after to compare and really just look at the page views, sales, and then calculate conversion that way. But our reports definitely make it a lot quicker. But it is unfortunately quite manual at this point, but looking forward to when I say when, not if, because I'm sure it's coming. I'm so confident, but when we'll be able to have the ASIN level reporting.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe assumption with how they're building this out and what we see them doing overall with analytics and the back end. So I think you're spot on with your...
We'll speak it into existence here.
Yes. Universe, hear us. Amazon. I'm sure I have an Alexa nearby. Right. So we've dug into Temple, we've dug into the different targeting types and really covered kind of the strategic and tactical so far for today. How about we zoom out for the final question and talk about what Amazon's investment in this type of promo might indicate about overall what they're looking to do when it comes to pricing and promos and ultimately hanging on to that Amazon customer. Dig into is it reading tea leaves? I'm not sure. What's your take on all of that?
No, it's a great question. I think we've spoken about how data driven Amazon is ad nauseum. And I really think that this is a great way that Amazon has heard seller feedback. I think this is such an incredibly precise way to target customers, which ultimately saves money. So you're not going to be just throwing out a coupon and converting a customer who's already going to buy it. So you're saving quite a bit with this specific targeted audience. So I think that this is Amazon hearing the feedback and allowing us to have some more profitability, save that profitability there by just having everything so specific and letting kind of in a symbiotic way, letting all the other parts speak together. So working in tandem again with PPC, subscribe and save, brand tailor promotions, organic efforts. I think this is just this one more data tool that you can speak to as you're goal setting with your brands too. So, as we spoke, new brands probably focusing on customer acquisition, existing established brands really wanting to increase that lifetime value of their customers and to keep them and retain them and ensure that they're not going elsewhere. But I think that's just been a really great customer obsessed for the seller, which I think it's been a little while since we've seen something so helpful in that sense. And just how organic merchandising now plays a role in that. We're targeting on the product detail page. It's targeting customers reaching out via email or paying attention to their history and actually giving them suggestions that they're going to like and use, and I think will be more meaningful. So it's certainly getting more precise in a positive way.
Yeah,
that's what is so exciting to me, because I can think we can use the media side of the business as a proxy for how this could potentially develop, because you wind back the clock 5 years ago on advertising on Amazon, and it was a lot of it was just sort of shotgunning, right? You would run a sponsored brand ad for your brand term and just the hope that the right people clicked on it and converted. Yeah. And now we see, I could go into AMC and I can take first party data. I could take innumerable targeting variables and build audiences that then inform my ad campaign. So it's not a crazy future to imagine that same sort of robust targeting capability coming to merchandising, right? If I get my first party data, I have information about these customers that I can feed into Amazon and then merchandise to them accordingly. I start to get a really more sophisticated way of, doing pricing, doing promotion that reflects their ads ecosystem. So I'm super excited. I'm as bullish as you are on this, not having to sell these to clients, but I just think it'll be a really cool area to watch in the coming months and years.
Yeah, I agree. It's just been so exciting, even just to see the results of which campaigns are working best for which brands. And it does really inform the PPC aspect too of working in tandem and, hey, let's lean in harder here. We didn't realize what an opportunity repeat was, and let's really strengthen that and focus there. And so it is very, very exciting. And once ASIN level reporting is available, it's going to be pivotal.
Well, when that happens,
yes,
we will have you back so we can celebrate together and talk about all the ways that the data in those reports are so helpful in giving us more insight into even more precise targeting and promotion. And I'd be lying if I said I was a skeptic prior to our conversation. I've thought these are pretty amazing from the moment that they were rolled out, and the way that it's evolved over the past few months is even more exciting. But you also helped build that excitement. So thank you, Joanna, for joining us today, and appreciate your insights and your enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you so much. You were amazing.